All right. Welcome to How to Apply to College. Um, Here are my step-by-step instructions for how I applied to and did my college stuff. I hope that it might be helpful for you. If not, that's okay. But I would have wished that I had some sort of baseline to how to even start looking at colleges. So here's my 2 cents on that. A few things to note. That this is entirely from me, prospective student, not a counselor or admissions director. And currently, at the time of filming this, I have not committed to a college yet. I'm not in college yet. I'm a high school senior, so this is just my perspective. I'm a music education major, and I started my college process knowing my major. Not everyone will, and that's completely okay. Everyone's journey will look a little different. This is just me sharing my experience. Okay, so step one. The first step, I would say, is to research your schools. I started doing this the second semester of my junior year, and I kept researching through the summer and even a little bit in the fall, to be honest. Um, so how do you do that? That's a really big, daunting thing to research. So factors to consider when you're looking into schools. So location. Do you want to be in a city? Do you want to be in the middle of nowhere? Do you want to stay close to home? Do you want to go far away? Do you want to stay in the country? Is there a certain area you know you want to be in when you are going to college? Um, and then degree programs and school values. Does this school have your major if you know your major? And does the school value and put money into your degree program? And then if you want to go to a big school or a small school, some schools can be really small, like only 1,000 students. Some schools can be really big, which is like over 30,000 students. Um, and then public school versus private school. Your public schools are like your state schools, things like that. They will generally be a little bit bigger, although not always. And then private schools generally are more the smaller ones. And then private schools can have a higher upfront cost, but public schools will have a lower upfront cost. But yeah, and then thinking about cost again, and stuff like that. I wouldn't limit yourself to a school. Like, I wouldn't say no to a school because of its cost, because a lot of the times, if a school costs a lot upfront, you can get a lot of scholarships going to that school. College Board, Big Future has a great college search tool on their website that basically has like every college ever, and then you can narrow it down by a lot of these categories that I mentioned here, based on the criteria. All right, when you're researching, make sure you write down all of your thoughts on the schools, the pros, the cons you find about each school. So one, you don't forget like what schools you're even researching, and two, so you remember what your schools that you're thinking about are. Step two, college visits. So you can do this kind of the same timeline as when you're researching schools. So I started doing these my second semester of my junior year, all the way through the first semester of my senior year. Visiting schools is really important because it's the best way to get to know the vibes of a college. The website will tell you. The website is great because it has a lot of information about the school on it, but you can only tell so much from the website. It's really, really good to visit in person, and I got the most valuable experiences from visiting in person. I started doing this the second semester of my junior year, which is kind of nice because I found that I wasn't as busy my second semester as I was my first semester. And it's completely okay to miss school for college visits. It will count as an excused absence. Here are some things to think about while you're actually visiting the college. I thought a lot about like, can I imagine living here for 4 years? And like, does the layout of the campus feel right? And then what vibes do the students and the faculty give? Um, you'll see a lot of like the outside of the campus, but then you'll also like be able to go in a lot of the buildings and see the dorms for most college tours and stuff like that. Um, there's one college that was really nice that I really liked. The music building was right next to some of the dorms, so I knew I wouldn't have to go too far to like get to my rehearsals and practice and stuff like that. But there was one school that like it was like half of the university was on one side of the street, and then the music building was on the other side of the street. And I didn't really like that. It made it feel like the music building was like super like excluded from campus, and that like I wouldn't really get to know much more like of the university other than the music building. Um, there was also um, one of the college visits that I went to, the students, like the current students, were like super nice. There was like we couldn't find the right building to go in, and we were just like kind of standing outside, and one of the students like asked, like, "Oh hey, like are you looking for something?" And then they pointed us in the right direction. Whereas one of the other colleges that I went to, the campus, oh my gosh, the professors were really, I don't know, they just didn't really seem very keen to answer any of my questions. So I wasn't really too interested in going to that school. When you visit, do all the things. Usually, colleges will have a ton of options of like things you can do in addition to your tour. Some of the things will be like sitting in on a class, meeting with a professor, having lunch in their dining hall, meeting with an admissions counselor, or meeting with a current student. Um, if you're also a music major, I would highly recommend seeing if you can have a lesson with your like your instrument teacher at the school. So like if you play cello like me, like have a lesson with the cello teacher, see if you guys get along. Because as a music major, that person will be really important for you. Um, but yeah, if you can do any of these things as well, I would highly recommend because then it's just more of an immersive experience into the college. Step three, repeat. You kind of just do this whole um, research, visit through your second semester of your junior year, through honestly like the summer of your junior year and into your first semester of your senior year. Just keep getting as much information as you can. Continue visiting, researching, and make sure you're still documenting your thoughts on all of the colleges that you're considering through this time. Something I forgot to mention in the visit section is write down your thoughts when you're visiting. Write down things that you like, things you don't like, just like your general overall like vibes that you're getting. It's good to have a record of that so you remember how you feel at these different schools. And remember, at this stage, you don't have to make any decisions yet. You're just seeing what your options are. I know it can be really stressful, but keep an open mind and you don't have to decide anything yet. All right, step four, applying to college. You do this basically your first semester of your senior year. When applying to college, I used the Common App. Most people use the Common App, and it's this website that has all of the school's applications and condenses them into one. Um, it will autofill the same repetitive information on all of your applications, and then has a separate section for the individual questions that were different on each of your college's applications. It also keeps them all in one place, making them super easy to keep track of. And yeah. So, how to Common App? The first thing you want to do is create an account and log in. Again, I wouldn't do this really until your first semester of your senior year. And then you can add all of the colleges that you intend on applying to your dashboard. And then fill out the basic information section first. This will be stuff like your name, your address, like really like just basic stuff about you, your birthday, your parents, things like that. And then there'll be click on each school individually, and that'll show you what other more individualized questions they have. That might be stuff like your like your major or your if they have specific questions about like you personally, um, and your essay questions will be in that section, as well as the Common App essay, which is I think it's like most colleges will accept it, but some may have additional essays for you to write. Letters of recommendation. This I thought was like the scariest thing ever. It's not. It's super chill. Most schools will require 1 to 2 letters of recommendation. I applied to some schools that required none, and applied to some schools that required 3 to 4. It really just depends on the school, but you can do this in the Common App, where you can like type in the person's email and request a letter. Who would you ask for letters of recommendations? It can be basically any adult that's not related to you, that can speak very highly of you. You might want to ask them from a teacher who works with your area of study. So I asked for a letter of recommendation from my orchestra teachers, or just a teacher that you know really well and that you know that they could speak about you in a way that like a teacher that can speak well of you. It's also, you can just request it through the Common App, but it's also nice to send that person an email asking for a letter of recommendation as well. Essays. Don't stress about the essays. That was also one of the really scary parts. They're just a way to show the college who you really are as a person. Make sure you use good grammar. And always type your essays in a Google Doc and then copy and paste it into the actual like submission section. That way your work saves, and you can save your essay after it submits, so you can start recycling those if there are multiple essay topics that are basically the same thing but for different schools. Writing your essays will get really repetitive, but it's something you ought to do. Always have someone peer review your essay before you submit as well, just to make sure to catch any of those grammatical errors, and make sure that you're wording things fluently. But essays are, you will write a lot of them, but it's not a big deal. You got this. Things to consider about applying to college. Apply to all of the schools that you're thinking about. Even if you're 99% sure you won't go there, like it still doesn't hurt to apply. You might end up changing your mind about that school once it's too late. So if you end up deciding that you want to go to this school, but you didn't apply to it and the deadline passed, there's nothing you can do about it. I would recommend just applying to as many schools as you want to. The recommended number of schools to apply to is 5. I think I applied to 6. I know some people who've applied to 10, and I know some people who've applied to only 1. And all of them have been successful. But 5 is like the recommended average. You may also have to do a separate application for your major, like auditions for music, interviews, as well as additional online applications. You do not have to do all your applications at once. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of forms to fill out, a lot of essays to write. Do it in small bits every day to avoid getting overwhelmed. It will be okay. All right, step 5, narrowing it down. This process kind of happens all through your senior year of high school. So once you complete your applications, you now have to begin the decision process. Go back through your original list of pros and cons and thoughts and feelings and all of that, and add them and think about where you would actually see yourself going to school. Are there any cons or thoughts that would be absolute deal breakers? Is there anywhere that you just went there and the vibes were absolutely not? Things like that. And you can start narrowing down the list. It's much easier to take a school off of your college list than to put a school back onto your college list after you've finished your applications and stuff like that. And like when you're narrowing it down, it's much easier to like slowly cross them off your list than to definitively be like, yes, this is the one. Um, so that's how I would go about doing that. And then during this time, like it's kind of hard to know what to do. So you can continue to research schools that you've applied to, and talk to people that you know that attend the schools that you're going to, like current students, maybe people who've graduated from your high school that go to the schools that you've applied to. Um, Continue to visit and go to like events at your schools that you've applied to. A lot of the times they'll have admissions events like based around like getting to know the incoming students, and like if you have any questions, and that's a great time to like meet the faculty from your school as well. And then keep documenting your thoughts and your feelings about the schools as you keep doing more of these events. All right, step 6, scholarships. So I started applying for scholarships November of my senior year, and there will be scholarships for you, like basically until you can apply for, like basically until you start college. So apply for as many scholarships as you can. Obviously, like that's super important, especially looking at it from a financial basis. College is expensive, but there are a lot of scholarships out there to help you pay for it. So the FAFSA, not necessarily like a traditional scholarship, but it provides you with government aid for paying for your college. You and your parents will fill it out every fall to see how much excuse me, how much money the government will give you. Your FAFSA information is also sent to the colleges that you're applying to, so they know how much of a government scholarship to provide you. So then school scholarships, these are scholarships that the college or university gives out to incoming students. So this is money coming from the institution. And if you receive one of these scholarships, you can only redeem it at the school that gave you the scholarship. Most of these applications and information about them will be available on the college's website. You'll probably also get a lot of emails about them. I've gotten so many emails about scholarships from schools. So they're usually very good about promoting those scholarships. And a lot of the times it has to do with, like, if you have really good grades, you will probably receive a scholarship from the college. Or if you like are super involved in a sport or music or an activity, and like you can get a scholarship for continuing that involvement in college. And then outside scholarships. These are scholarships that organizations outside of the colleges and universities provide. A lot of the times these will be like local scholarships. There's a website, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there's a lot of websites that just are like massive lists of scholarships that you can apply to. And then see if your high school has a list of community or local scholarships. A lot of the times these won't be as big, but they are still helpful in providing funds for your education. These scholarships do not have to go to a specific school unless specified in the outside scholarship. Here's some tips. A lot of the times scholarships will require an essay, and save all of your essays that you write for your scholarships. Like, save them all in a Google folder, and then you can reference back your scholarship essays that you can use for multiple essays. You sort of start recycling your essays because most of the questions are pretty similar. All right, and step 7, your decision. This will happen March through May of your senior year. By March, every school should have gotten back to you with your acceptance and your final financial package from them. And then you just sort of weigh the pros and cons of whatever school you've narrowed it down to. when making these decisions. Sort of think about what things are most important for you. Where did you feel most at home? It's a big decision, but there's not a wrong decision. You can make the most of college wherever you go. This is your decision, your choice. It's a big decision, but you can do it. It'll be okay. May 1st is National College Decision Day, and most colleges require you to decide if you're going to commit to their college by then. Every school is different, but most of the time you can commit online in your like student portal or whatever, and stuff like that. But when you commit to a college, that's like, I'm going here for sure. And then some final thoughts. College searching is really difficult and really stressful. Like it's a lot. It's a really big decision that's like it will affect your life greatly. Do not be afraid to ask for help from others, others who might be going through the process with you, others who have done it before, teachers, counselors, friends, parents. Like it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't have to be something that you do all by yourself. You've got this. It's going to be great. And yeah, so this was my college process. I hope this was helpful. Remember, this is just my process, and everyone has their own journey. But I hope this was helpful in giving some guidance to